Hey, everybody, we're here today with Lisa Niemann. Lisa owns and operates Quantax, which is a CPA firm, and she is going to talk to us a little bit today about her experience as a traditional entrepreneur. So, Lisa, so tell me how you decided accounting and how you decided that you wanted to open your own CPA business.
Hi, Christina. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to talk with you and share this video with all your students who are looking at entrepreneurship and exploring those opportunities for themselves. So how I chose accounting, that really was kind of coincidence. I never really set out to have a business or to be an accountant. I know that sounds a little strange. But growing up, my dad owned a trucking company. So I was Sunday afternoons, especially in the wintertime, being from Chicago, doing bookkeeping for my dad, helping him lay out all the receipts and getting everything organized for the year so he could take all his documents to his tax preparer. And I was doing that since I was 10 years old. So I just had this natural ability here to do accounting and grew up around it. And then looking back too on that time, him starting that business, taking his sole proprietor as an independent trucker and moving that into a trucking company and having employees and trucks and growing that business, that was part of my early learning as well, and kind of set me up on this path for entrepreneurship. So then when I'm in college and I'm selecting a major, I knew that it would be business. Just didn't know exactly where. The accounting seemed easy for me, a natural ability. I'm also a very conservative person, so wanting to have a job after graduation was a priority of mine. And in accounting and business, you're always going to have a job. You're not going to go hungry. It's not going to be a sexy career with all sorts of set the world on fire possibilities, but you're going to eat. So I think that kind of led me in that direction too. And then when I got out of school, the taxes became the focus. And again, this was just kind of a happy coincidence. My husband's Marine Corps, or was Marine Corps, so we traveled a lot. And the really cool thing about that is I was able to go to a new duty station, open the yellow pages. I know, I just dated myself there.
Students are going to be like, what are yellow pages?
Yeah, exactly. I never heard of that. Isn't it a Google search?
Yeah.
So basically, that's the old school Google search of CPA
yeah, there you go.
in the area. Sent resumes to them and always got a job. So I was able to do tax returns in Florida and Texas and obviously California too. So that was really cool because everybody has to do a tax return, and that those skills were easily transferable as we moved and as my career shifted. So fast forward, it's now 1999. We are now in San Diego. Had been there a year, and friends of ours from the military said, Lisa, I got to get this tax return done. I don't know anybody out here. Will you do it? Yeah, I'm a licensed CPA, no problem. So a couple more friends said, yeah, can you do my tax return? Yeah, I can do it too. So that's how the business started. It was not some, hey, I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to start working for myself. No, this was just an opportunity that presented itself, fell into my lap, and then I ran with it. So all the while too, I was working part-time. I did a stint as a controller of a wireless company out here in Carlsbad. Decided I wanted back into public accounting. So I went and worked for part-time doing tax returns for a CPA there in Carlsbad. And all the while I was developing my own business, really, because all those clients referred a few more clients. And before you know it, I had well over 200 clients. And wow. I couldn't keep up. Um, I knew something had to change. I couldn't just be operating as a sole proprietor, Schedule C, working out of the house, because I had a scaling problem, right? I was growing too fast, and needed to change the infrastructure. So that's when I decided to incorporate, and Quantax was born. We moved it out of the house, rented office space here in San Marcos, and hired a staff, and kept doing what I was doing, but just on a larger scale. So that's a little bit of my
startup story.
Yeah, my startup story.
So let me ask you this. How did you market?
Well, I didn't. I kind of laughed because I had no marketing budget. It was just all word of mouth, homegrown, referrals. So I didn't have to spend any money on marketing, and I just let our work, or my work, speak for itself. And clients were talking with friends, and, oh yeah, I need to give it to, oh, I know this great tax person, let me make a connection and hook you guys up. So that's how it grew.
Yeah. And I think
all organic.
Yes. And I think, when you're talking about providing services, accounting, doing like personal fitness training, legal work, anytime you're providing a service, I think the power of the referral is so much more impactful than, buying time or space somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's you're doing your good work and letting your good work speak for itself, and then letting that carry you through. How long did it take you to get from doing the returns in your house to where you realized that this needed to get out of my house and get into some other space so that you can like live your life in your home?
What, and not anger my husband and my children?
Yes.
Stay married.
Yeah.
2013 is when I incorporated, but it really should have been done a couple of years prior to that. Again, an accountant is very conservative. That's a big step when you incorporate, when you hire people and you sign this 3 to 5 year business lease. Those are big challenges and big steps. And, for somebody who just was not setting out with those goals in mind, right. It was like, oh man, what do I do with this now that I have that? So if you want to start back, the first client, 1999 to really 2011, when it should have been moved out, but my conservative attitude delayed it 2 more years.
Gotcha.
And really too, that's part of the problem with my entrepreneurship story is I didn't have the bandwidth to do a business plan, find a place to rent, and do talent search for hiring employees, because I was so busy doing tax returns and billable hours. I know that sounds like, why is she complaining? She was making money. Yeah, that's true. But I didn't want to stop, right? And doing the billable hours, doing the service I was providing, to do all that infrastructure stuff, which didn't have a direct return on investment, right?
Business owners, yes. A lot of small business owners tend to be technicians. Mm-hmm. And so you're very good at you have a technical role. You are an accountant. My brother is a fisherman, and really great technicians. And so when you have to bring in the marketing piece or the management piece or the operations piece, that's kind of where you tend to get stretched outside of your comfort zone, which is why I'm always telling people, especially with like stuff like with your accounting, or with your marketing, if you're not good in that technical role, do it until you can turn it over to someone else to do, and someone else who can help you, who is good in that specific technical role. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's talk about your successes and challenges. Give me your favorite success story from owning in all, 20 years.
Yeah, that's probably a real easy one. So I'm very reflective too, and how all of this is developed and where I've got. And I think that there are two things that I would consider my success stories. Number one, just helping clients, right? When somebody comes to me, they have this, and I should also mention, it's not like I'm not good at getting you out of trouble. I'm really good at keeping you from getting in trouble. So that's a difference in, clients don't come to me with 10 years of back taxes and all sorts of tax notices. And, it's not that debt reduction. It's more like, hey, I got this opportunity. I'm thinking about starting a business, or I have an opportunity to buy a rental property. I think helping them hear their story, figure out what they want, what are their goals, why are you doing this? Why do you want to start a business? Why do you want to own a rental property? And then really working with them, figuring out what's best now at a year, 3 years, 5 years, and working them to help make those goals and then achieve those goals. That's what excites me. Just getting some numbers down on a tax return, not so much. It's the planning that goes into it. It's the helping the clients. It's getting to know their story. And every tax return has a story. Every set of financials tells a story. So helping them write that story, that's what's really cool. And then the other piece too that I consider as a success story is I developed a great internship program there at Contacts, where we offered internships in the spring to accounting majors, so they can try on a career in accounting to see if they like it. As an accounting major, you can go into public accounting, or you can go into private industry and be somebody's controller. So giving them a chance to see what does a tax office look like during tax season, that was really rewarding for me as well. And just being a part of their early professional career and helping them figure out, do I want tax, audit, general accounting, what do I want? That was really cool. There's nothing better than when somebody goes, I get it. I learned this in class and now I see it in real time on a real life tax document. Those I think are my biggest successes.
Okay, now the challenge.
Yeah, the challenge, scaling the business. We mentioned this earlier with being the technical aspect, that I'm very good at the technical aspect of it, but scaling Quantax, there's the difficulty. And I'm not even sure I can say I've overcome that challenge. Everything is based on a personal relationship, and you can't scale that very well because it takes that personal relationship. You can't just make more of those personal relationships. I often joke with my staff, I'm looking for myself. I wish I could clone myself at 33 years old. Yeah. That's what I need. That 33-year-old Lisa who was wanting to own a business, wanting to be engaged with those clients. That's who I needed to hire. So it's really hard to scale a personal services business because that business is based on that personal relationship. And that's what you can't duplicate. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Your name's on the shingle and people are coming to that shingle because of your name.
Yep. And even though you pull, you do Quantax and you separate yourself from the business, it's not Lisa L. Niemann CPA, it's Quantax. You still have to have the staff there that believes in the same corporate culture that you do and wants to help clients the way you want to help them and put forth the effort. And that's hard to get out of people, that commitment. And those soft skills, I've talked a lot about this with our interns. It's those soft skills that are really hard to teach. And what do I mean by that? Having the ability to connect with somebody Can you talk on the phone? Can you meet with them in person? Can you develop a business or personal relationship? That's really hard for me to teach. I can teach how to do tax return. We've got standard operating procedures that every single tax return goes through in that office. That I can teach too. But those soft skills, that's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to teach empathy.
Yeah.
Hard to teach storytelling, problem solving. Well, problem solving you can kind of teach, but so a couple more questions.
Sure.
My first question, accounting and bookkeeping is pretty popular among our students as potential career paths. And a lot of them think about it in terms of hanging out their own shingle and starting their own business. So what advice would you have for a MiraCosta accounting student who is thinking about going into either tax prep or bookkeeping or something in the accounting field?
I think the biggest piece of advice is to know your craft well. Really invest in yourself and your knowledge base, and stay current too. Meet your clients where they are. And I think what I mean by this is back in 2002, I know this is a long time ago, e-filing, electronic filing was a new thing. And I really embraced that and I got going with it. And meeting clients on Zoom and virtually and having a secure portal, I was doing that long before COVID ever hit. So really being proactive and meeting your clients where they are and giving them those resources and those services that they need where they're at.
Well, and that's not accounting stuff. I mean, that's like technology and, that's really about keeping up with the times, for lack of a better term.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because I see this a lot with new clients. It's the old accounting firms, the old way of doing bookkeeping and taxes. They're really not interested in that. So what's your differentiator too? What's going to try and find out why they want to go to you for bookkeeping instead of someone else down the street.
Right.
What's your differentiator?
Right.
And a lot of that, it's going to be hard to do unless you have some type of a personal connection there, right? Because bookkeeping is bookkeeping. There's not a lot of fancy bells and whistles you can put on it. But what you can do is make the user experience or your client's experience so much easier and pleasant. Gotcha. And I think that will keep them coming back more.
Good. I like that. So so I'm going to flip that around a little bit. And I want you, what would be your one piece of advice or maybe words of wisdom for someone who is not starting an accounting-based business, but somebody who is starting a yoga studio, a fitness facility, a restaurant, or some other business, who may not be who would more tend to be one of your clients rather than somebody that's going into your profession?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think obviously I see a lot of clients coming in and they want to start a business and they've got the best thing since sliced bread and they're very excited about their opportunity. And that's great. That's all good. But where's your magic sauce? What's going to be your differentiator? Spend some time thinking about that, because at the end of the day, no matter who you're trying to pitch to, whether it be a banker, because you're trying to get some money, you're trying to convince a CPA to take you on as their client, or a consultant, or you're trying to hire an employee. Why do they want to do business with you? Or why do they want to work for you? What is your magic sauce that's going to put you above the rest?
That compelling value proposition.
There you go. Yeah. and be able to articulate that too.
Mm-hmm.
I think is so important. And then the other part of it too is you have to be willing to put in the work. Owning your own business is a boatload of time. It's really going to take your commitment, your family's commitment. And if you're not all on board with that and willing to put in the hard, long hours, you're not going to be happy.
Right.
So pick something that you're passionate about,
right.
That you really care about and want to do, because you're going to be doing it a lot.
You're going to be married to it.
Right. For very little reward. And I think that also is kind of a differentiator too, where I see some clients, their business goes, and start small too. That's another piece of advice I give people. They come to me as, oh, I think I need to incorporate. Well, hold on a minute. Maybe not. Let's see if this is a viable business proposition first. Let's start out small as a sole proprietor, like I did, right? Do you have something here that's going to go? And are you going to want to be on this journey?
Right.
So don't invest a whole bunch of money and have to think you need all this, corporation and all these bells and whistles and everything. Because you can do a lot of tax savings. You can do a lot of cool things with that corporation. But if you're not going to use it, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's a waste of money. So let's make sure you got a viable business here. Let's operate small first as a sole proprietor. And if you do, great, then we can always incorporate down the road. But a lot of people will want to tell you, you need to do all this right away. Cha-ching, 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 because that means corporate tax returns for the CPA. That means legal fees for the attorney. And, just make sure there's a viable business there before you spend a lot of money and make it much harder for you to unwind too, to plan for the end.
Right. Yeah. And that's the great thing about at least taking classes at Maricosta, the entrepreneurship classes that we have, we have a class that's solely about legal forms of organization, where you can look and see and understand the differences and the advantages and the disadvantages to each form of organization. Because yes, LLCs are great, incorporation is great, but there's formalities, there's taxes, and you better stay on top of that stuff. Or you might down the road be looking at the wrong end of a lawsuit. And if you haven't followed all of the right rules, the judge can pierce your corporate veil and take away your magical incorporation status. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
let's see. I think that's all of the questions that I had. Is there anything you want to add?
I guess just speaking to all the entrepreneurial hopefuls out there, it's a great experience to do, but it's not for everybody either. And having that self-discovery of yourself, and do you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? Spend a little time in that as well. And maybe you might find you're not ready now, as say, I'm just throwing out an age here, 25, but also know that life can change and opportunities can present themselves later. So it might not be in your cards right now, but maybe 5 years down the road, it might be, or 10 years down the road.
Maybe it's in your back pocket for a little while.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't force it.
Yeah.
But nurture your entrepreneurial instincts or your desires.
Develop the mindset.
Right. And learn from people, right? Talk to people, entrepreneurs. What's your journey? Because everybody's journey is different. Yep. And you might resonate with one and not with the other. Yep. And always be looking for that great idea. Ideas are also a dime a dozen. Mm-hmm. Can you take that idea make something of it? Can you take it through the stages and get it to fruition? Because that's what people can't do. That's where the magic sauce is. All of us can come up with all sorts of ideas for businesses, but can you take it out of infancy into adulthood with this business? That's the difference.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, for that excellent advice. It was good talking to you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for that opportunity too.
Yes, yes. I love, it's like I love getting these origin stories and these startup and these entrepreneurial stories, and sharing them with our students so that they can see that, it is achievable, and you can do it without having the gazillion dollars. You can start up doing tax returns out of your kitchen and spin that into a 200 organization individual client base. It's totally possible. And so thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.